Hey everyone, it's Jeannie, and today I am back to share two different cards using two different sets from Gerda Steiner. I am using the sets called Gourds and Yams and Corn, so it definitely has a fall feel. I think they are super adorable, especially the different gourds that have all these facial expressions. I'll be making two cards along with the Ink on 3 curl stencil. I used the curl stencil for a card for Ink on 3 and I really loved it, so I wanted to incorporate it into today's two cards. For my inspiration today, I was watching Crafty Roulette. It was an episode with Kelly Taylor, and she spun this color combination of purple, red, and yellow. And although she hated it, I actually was kind of inspired by it. I decided to use those colors for my color palette today. I didn't follow exactly what she had spun. There are 4 different elements that you spin, and you will create a card spontaneously while live, and you follow those rules. I just focused mainly on the color combination because they were so against it, and I actually really liked it. I thought it was very fall-like, and it could be blended together. So for my first card, I had just used yellow, and I use the red to kind of add in a little bit more dimension and darkness to the stencil background. I left a lot of white space too because I wanted to use the two yams for that card with a lot of white space because that's just not something that I do very often. For the second card that I'm working on right now, I decided to do a full background with a ground because I wanted to use as many of the gourds that I could as possible. I needed to do a horizontal card for that. So I am using Sting Yellow, Marilyn Red, and My Jam Purple from Ink on 3. These inks blend really nicely. I don't know why they look kind of choppy on camera, but in real life it looks fine to me. It looked smooth. Because I was seeing it in the camera, I kind of went back and just added more color and just made it a little bit darker and made sure everything was really blended. Honestly, once I add the stencil on top and I go over with another layer of color, you can barely see that it wasn't blended smoothly, even though it was. I don't know why the camera was picking it up like that. I ended up really loving the darkness of the background. It's the perfect backdrop for these gourds, and I'm so happy that I ended up making this card with this color combination because it isn't normally something I would do. So the reason why I was watching Crafty Roulette is because I'm actually going to be on an episode on Friday. So this video will come out on Sunday, the 12th, and I will be on Crafty Roulette on Friday the 17th. If you are interested in watching me live and watching what I create on camera with Mary Gunn, then please stop by. I will leave a link to her YouTube channel. It's basically a live episode every Friday, and you create a card using 4 different elements that she spins on her roulette wheel. So basically that's why it's called Crafty Roulette. You go into it not knowing exactly what you're creating, and you're kind of working on the fly. It's not something I've done before. I don't do lives, I do videos because I stumble over my words, I get nervous, and it honestly just takes me a bit of time to craft. Sometimes my crafting goes in a totally different direction, sometimes there are total fails, and I just have never really worked myself up to doing crafting live. So it will be my first time doing it. Hopefully I won't have a major fail, and if I do, I guess we'll deal with it when it gets to that point. I think that it will be a great challenge for me to see how it will go, and hopefully I create something fun and I don't get anything too crazy on the board. I think that like one of her items was like you could land on bookbinding card, and I don't even know what that is. So hopefully I don't land on something crazy that I just have no idea. I realize that in the card making world there are so many different elements, so many different types of cards that I just don't know everything. So looking at her list was super intimidating. Hopefully I will spin something that is in my wheelhouse. But if not, it's always fun to try something new, and that's usually why I really enjoy doing card sketches or being on challenges, because it really makes you step outside your comfort zone and create something that you're just not used to doing. you usually end up with something that you wouldn't have put together otherwise. I really like that. For all my images, I am stamping out from both the stamp sets, the Yams in Corn and the Gourds. The Yams are super cute. I had to look up the color because I just didn't think I had the right colors for the yams or the sweet potatoes. I could have done orange, but I thought it would be more fun to do purple, especially because that was part of the color challenge. So it was yellow, red, and purple. So I wanted to incorporate those colors. I did cheat a little bit because the gourds I used green and yellow, or green and orange, which aren't part of the color palette. Technically, you're not supposed to do that. You're only supposed to use neutrals, but I wasn't really following the challenge. I just used the challenge as an inspiration for my color palette. So that worked out. I think these gourds are just super cute. I'm just using my Copic markers, coloring them like I normally do. This video is a little bit longer because there is a lot more coloring. There's a lot of images, but I tend to try to leave all that in because people are interested in it. And if not, you can always skip to the end to see how I put these cards together. But it's pretty straightforward. And I think that my favorite card of the two is the one with the gourds, because honestly, I just have a hard time doing cards with white space. I want to keep it clean and simple. I see other people create these fabulous cards with just very simple images and a ton of white space, and it works. For me, I always want to add more. I want to add color. I want that brightness, and I struggle. So I don't know. If you want to let me know which one is your favorite, do so in the comments, and I will either be surprised or not surprised. I honestly think that the gourds with the full background is the cuter one. It just has that color, the pop. It also has the expressions of all these little images, and I think they're super cute. I am kind of a little anxious about going on the show, and hopefully it just won't be too bad. I think that it'll be fun. So I promised her to do it about 2 months ago. I thought it would be good to wait until after I got back from my vacation, kind of settled back in, and hopefully I don't do too terribly. I also have to figure out the technology too, because you're doing it live, and I usually record on a camera. I don't record on my phone, and I realized I don't even have a long enough power cord, so I probably have to order that from Amazon or something like that. But I am trying to kind of look into getting more equipment, I guess. I use a mic tripod for my camera. I just have the mic tripod, and I connect it with this attachment I got from Amazon to hold my camera, and that's how I film. So I know that a lot of people have those stands and stuff, but the tripod has worked for me. But I realized that sometimes having it directly above me is really hard because I hold my pens straight on. Only sometimes when I realize it, I'll kind of tilt my pens so you can see my coloring a little bit better. So I'm trying to work on that, especially because I did mention in my previous video that I am trying to do more reels and video content, so I probably should step up my game a little bit. I'm kind of cheap with that because I just don't make money from creating content. I do it because it's fun. So I don't see the point of spending that much money on it, but if it improves my quality, I'm okay with that. For my plain and simple card, I decided that I want to mat it on purple because I wanted to incorporate more purple. So I took a piece of A2 cardstock and ink blended the edges with the My Jam purple, which almost kind of matched the little yams that I colored in. For the sentiments, I will be heat embossing 2 of them on black cardstock using white embossing powder. I cut this out, but I basically spilled my entire embossing powder container while I was doing this, and it made such a huge mess. It was completely in my lap, all over my desk, on the floor. I had to stop. So the sun was coming down, and I do change the lighting a little bit. It's not super noticeable, but yeah, that was fun. That was like a crafty mess that I just never want happening. Usually I'm really careful because I put them in Tupperware boxes, or I put them like you see right now on top of a piece of paper, and I'll just funnel it back into the little jar. But for some reason I got distracted because I was watching TV and my TV is behind me, and I knocked over the whole thing. It was just terrible. So yeah, for this first card, it was just super clean and simple. I stenciled it and kind of did an ombre effect to fade into white, and I thought that my jam purple really matched the yams that I colored in. I added the two little yams, and I think they are facing the right way because one of them is looking to the left, and that's the only direction that it could look at, so I think that that's the right way. I add the little heart between them because I just thought it would be a cute pop of red, so it goes with my theme. And then I will add the sentiment, which I think is super cute, which just says, "You're my sweet potato." But for some reason, I just really don't love that card that much. I think because it's not super colorful and bright, it's not my favorite. But the second card I really, really love. I just think it's so funny and it's bright, and the pun for the sentiment of "oh my gourd" is hilarious. I love anything punny. Have you guys ever watched The Bachelorette? This past season, there was a guy on it named Connor, and he spits out so many puns so quickly. I find it hilarious. I also watched Bachelors in Paradise, and he was on it, and there was this little segment where he was just spitting out puns just for everything, and it was so funny. I wish that I was friends with him. So if I were to create like sentiments for a stamp set or something like that, I could just call him up and ask him for all the puns that he has, because I bet you he has so many. I love punny sentiments. I know that it's not everyone's cup of tea, but Gerda Steiner does it a lot for her designs, and it cracks me up every single time. I can't even imagine thinking these up. I'm just not very quick with them. Like, I can color and be creative and I can create cards and stuff, but like coming up with sentiments and like images and things like that to develop as a company for stamps and cards, like I really couldn't. For the Gourds card, I'm just finishing it off by adding a little bit of ground underneath them. It also creates a bit of depth so it looks like they're staggered, standing not in a row and not like weirdly floating above. So yeah, that's it for my two cards. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time with another video. Bye!